Success doesn't start with what you do. It starts with what you believe. It begins not in your hands, but in your mind. We live in a world that praises hustle, noise, and flashy wins. But the real formula, the one that creates lasting impact, comes down to three things. Control your mind, your mouth, and your money. Your mind is your command center. It's where every decision is born, where every excuse is made or rejected. You can't lead a life that's bigger than the story you're telling yourself. If your mind is filled with fear, everything becomes a threat. If it's filled with purpose, everything becomes a mission. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they don't believe they can win. If your mind is undisciplined, it will pull you in 1,000 directions. You'll react instead of respond, panic instead of plan. So start feeding your mind what builds you: books, mentors, silence, reflection. Because when you learn to control your mind, you don't just think better, you live better. Words are power, and too many people waste theirs. They speak without thinking. They complain without solving. They tear down instead of building up. The most successful people speak with intention. They know that what they say to others and to themselves matters deeply. Your words can shape culture. Your words can spark courage. Your words can start a movement or end a relationship. So speak less to impress and more to connect. Speak truth even when it's hard. Speak hope, especially when it's dark. And when it's not necessary to speak, don't. Now let's talk about the one thing most people either chase blindly or fear constantly. Money. Money is not the goal, it's the tool. You don't need to have millions to control your finances, but you do need to be intentional, because when money controls you, you'll chase validation. You'll buy things you don't need to impress people you don't like and wonder why you're still not fulfilled. Control your money by aligning it with your values. Save before you spend. Invest in what grows you. Say no to things that rob you of freedom. True wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about how well you manage, multiply, and move with what you have. You see, this isn't a gimmick. It's a life strategy. Control your mind, and you'll think like a leader. Control your mouth, and you'll speak like one. Control your money, and you'll move like one. This is the formula that creates not just success, but significance. Because when your mind is clear, your words are wise, and your finances are in order, you're not just surviving, you're leading. You're building. You're living on purpose. So today, make the decision. Master the 3 M's. Mind, mouth, money. Not for applause, not for ego, but for impact. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who are grounded, clear, and intentional. Be that person. And watch what happens when success isn't just a dream, but a natural result. Everything begins in the mind. Before you take a single step, before you speak a single word, it starts with a thought. That quiet little voice inside your head, that's the real driver of your life. And whether you realize it or not, it's either moving you forward or holding you back. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're unconvinced. They've let the voice in their head grow too loud, too negative, too doubtful. I'm not good enough. What if I mess it up? Someone else can probably do this better. These aren't just passing thoughts. They're programs running your life silently every day. And the truth is, if you don't learn to control that inner dialogue, it will control you. You can't live a powerful life with a disempowered mind. The mind is like a garden. If you don't intentionally plant good seeds, thoughts of purpose, confidence, discipline, it gets overrun with weeds. And here's the tricky part. Those weeds feel real. They sound like truth, but they're not. They're old fears. They're echoes of failure. They're borrowed doubts from people who never chase their own dreams. You must become aware of the thoughts you allow to stay. You don't have to believe everything you think. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it deserves a seat at your table. Learn to challenge it. Ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's helping you, keep it. If it's hurting you, replace it. That's where control begins, not with force, but with awareness. And it takes practice, real, daily practice. Controlling your mind isn't a one-time decision. It's a habit. It's how you show up when things go wrong. It's the discipline to choose optimism over cynicism. It's the self-awareness to pause before reacting, because your thoughts influence your emotions influence your actions, and your actions create your results. Think about how many opportunities you've already missed. Not because you weren't ready, but because your mind convinced you that you weren't worthy. The worst part of self-doubt is how convincing it can sound. But here's something powerful. The voice in your head is not fixed. It can change. It can be trained. You can teach it to encourage rather than criticize. You can rewire it to see challenges as growth, not threats. And when you do that, when you truly master the voice inside, you stop needing constant external validation because your confidence begins to come from within. Controlling your mind also means choosing what you consume, the conversations you engage in, the media you scroll through, the people you spend time with. All of that shapes your thoughts. Guard your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Feed your mind with what makes you stronger. Read books that stretch you. Listen to voices that challenge and uplift you. Surround yourself with people who remind you of who you're becoming. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's not pretending everything is great when it's not. It's about mental leadership. It's about telling yourself the truth in a way that moves you, not paralyzes you. Yes, life is hard. Yes, you'll have setbacks. But no, that doesn't mean you quit. That means you adapt. That means you reset your mind, not retreat from your mission. Control your mind, and you'll begin to control your life. You'll think with clarity. You'll act with purpose. You'll stop living from fear and start living from focus. The most powerful thing you'll ever do is learn to lead yourself from the inside out. And it all starts with mastering the voice you hear the most. Your own. The way you think is not permanent. It's programmable. The beliefs you hold today were shaped by years of repetition, some from experience, some from environment, and some from people who had no idea what they were talking about. And if your thinking was built, it can be rebuilt. Growth starts with the willingness to unlearn. So many of us are walking through life operating on autopilot, running old thought patterns that were installed when we were children, or in moments of failure, or through voices we trusted but shouldn't have. Maybe someone once told you that you weren't smart enough, or talented enough, or deserving of something better, and maybe you believed it. But what if you stopped accepting those thoughts as facts? If you want to grow, you have to challenge the software in your mind. You have to get honest about the thoughts you repeat every day, especially the ones you don't say out loud. Are you constantly predicting the worst? Are you always doubting your own ideas before anyone else gets the chance? That's not strategy. That's fear dressed up as logic. And it's costing you your potential. Rewiring your thinking doesn't mean flipping a switch. It means building a system. It means interrupting the thought loops that no longer serve you and replacing them with patterns that move you forward. Start small. Instead of saying, I always mess this up, try, I'm still learning how to handle this. That shift may seem subtle, but it's everything. Because your brain listens when you speak. The more you tell it who you are, the more it reinforces that identity. If you keep calling yourself a failure, your actions will start to reflect that. But if you tell yourself you're someone who adapts, someone who learns, someone who grows, you'll start acting like it. People talk about confidence like it's a trait, but confidence is actually a consequence. It's the natural result of taking action based on thoughts that support you. When you shift from fear-based thinking to growth-based thinking, you start taking risks, stepping up, and saying yes to things that once scared you. Not because you've eliminated fear, but because you've stopped letting it speak first. And here's something important. Rewiring your mind is not about delusion. It's not about ignoring your problems. It's about looking at them through a different lens. When your thoughts are wired for growth, challenges become feedback, failure becomes data, and discomfort becomes a signal that you're evolving. You also need to understand the role of habits in this process. Thoughts create feelings, feelings drive behaviors, and repeated behaviors shape identity. If you want to become a more confident person, start acting like one. If you want to think like a leader, start making decisions like one. Action changes thought just as much as thought changes action. It's a cycle. And the key is to get it spinning in the right direction. The people who grow the most are not the smartest, the strongest, or the most connected. They're the ones who are willing to think differently. They ask better questions. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this teaching me? They shift from blaming to building, from reacting to reflecting. That mindset alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. You're not stuck. You're just thinking the same thoughts too often. Change your thoughts and everything else begins to move. Growth is not about doing more. It's about thinking better. So take control. Install new beliefs. Test new perspectives. Speak new truths. Rewire the patterns and the results will follow. Because when your mind becomes a place of growth, your life becomes a place of transformation. What you say matters. The words you speak, even when you think no one's listening, are shaping your life. They influence how others see you, yes, but more importantly, they influence how you see yourself. Most people speak out of habit. They react. They defend. They dump their emotions without considering the impact. But if you want to lead a powerful life, you have to speak with intention. You have to control your mouth. There's an old saying that words can build or destroy, and it's true. One sentence can inspire someone for years. One careless comment can shut someone down for life. Your words are tools, and every time you use them, you're either building a future or tearing something down. And the first person affected by what you say is you. You shape your identity through your language. Every time you say, I'm not good at this, I always mess this up, I could never do that, you're reinforcing a belief. You're writing code into your mind. You're telling yourself a story, and your actions will eventually follow the script. But when you flip that language and say, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'll figure it out, you shift everything. You open doors in your own mind. You stop putting ceilings on your potential. This doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means speaking with clarity, not chaos. It means using your mouth to direct your life instead of derail it. And it starts with awareness. Notice how you speak to yourself during difficult moments. Notice how you speak to others when you're stressed. Are your words helping? Are they necessary? Are they kind? Because words leave marks and not all of them are visible. Speaking with purpose also means choosing your silence wisely. Just because you have something to say doesn't mean it needs to be said. Some of the most powerful communication is done by listening. Most people are just waiting for their turn to talk. Real leaders listen to understand, not to respond. They know that wisdom isn't just about having the right answer. It's about asking the right questions. When you control your mouth, you stop reacting to every emotion. You stop feeding the fire of negativity with more complaints, more gossip, more noise. Instead, you become intentional. You learn when to speak up, when to hold space, and when to walk away. You speak life into people. You speak direction into situations. You become someone whose words carry weight, not because you talk the most, but because you speak what matters. It's not always easy. In a world that rewards the loudest voice, it can feel uncomfortable to pause and think before you speak. But leadership isn't about volume. It's about impact. You don't need to shout to be heard. You need to be clear, you need to be honest, and you need to speak from a place of conviction, not ego. So ask yourself, do my words reflect who I want to be? Am I building or breaking? Am I speaking out of fear or out of purpose? Because the moment you start controlling your mouth, everything shifts. Your relationships become more authentic, your confidence grows, your presence becomes stronger. Speak less to be liked and more to be understood. Speak with intention, not impulse. Let your words rise from your values, not your moods. Because when your mouth is aligned with your mission, you don't just sound powerful, you become powerful. Speak like your words shape worlds. Because they do, they always have. The words you use are not just communication tools, they are energy conductors. Every sentence you speak either adds to your energy or drains it. Every conversation you engage in either fuels your fire or slowly dims it. Most people don't realize this. They give their energy away casually, without thought, just because someone invited them into a conversation. But if you want to live with clarity, peace, and focus, you must learn to protect your energy through the language you choose to speak and allow around you. There is a direct connection between the words you use and the way you feel. Speak frustration long enough and you'll feel agitated all day. Speak gratitude regularly and your energy begins to lift. What you say creates a rhythm inside your body and your mind. It programs your mood, your confidence, your perception of the world. That's why one negative interaction can ruin your whole day. It's not the event, it's the language that followed. You repeated the story, you replayed the frustration, you fed the emotion with words, and it grew stronger. The people who protect their energy best are not the ones who avoid hard conversations. They're the ones who are intentional about how they speak in the middle of them. They don't entertain gossip because they know it feels good in the moment but costs them clarity in the long run. They don't speak poorly about others behind their backs because they understand that what you say about others echoes back to you. And they don't spend hours rehashing the same problems with no intention of solving them. Because energy is currency, and they don't waste it on loops that lead nowhere. Protecting your energy means saying no, not just to people, but to the conversations that don't align with who you're becoming. It means recognizing when small talk becomes toxic talk. It means stepping away from discussions that feed fear, drama, or negativity. This isn't about being rude, it's about being responsible. You are responsible for the energy you carry, and you are responsible for the energy you create in others through the words you speak. It also means choosing your internal language wisely. The way you talk to yourself matters just as much, if not more, than how you talk to others. Every time you say, "I'm exhausted, I can't take this anymore, I'm so behind," your body listens. Your nervous system reacts. You begin to live into the language you've chosen. But when you shift to, "I'm prioritizing rest, I'm learning to manage stress, I've handled hard things before," your energy shifts with you. You move from a victim of life to an active participant in it. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means naming them with truth, not exaggeration. There's a difference between being tired and being defeated. There's a difference between being frustrated and being hopeless. Use words that reflect where you are without surrendering your power. Speak in a way that acknowledges reality, but also reminds you of your strength. Every word is an investment. Every sentence is a decision. You can either create momentum or resistance with what you say. And if you want to build a life that feels aligned, grounded, and purposeful, then you must learn to protect your energy through the language you allow to lead your day. You don't owe anyone endless access to your voice. You don't need to explain yourself in every conversation. Sometimes the most powerful way to protect your energy is simply to speak less, listen more, and choose silence over chaos. Because the more intentional you are with your words, the more powerful your presence becomes. And when your language aligns with your values, your energy becomes unstoppable. Money is one of the most misunderstood tools in life. Some people fear it, others chase it endlessly. Some use it to build freedom, while others let it control every decision they make. But here's the truth. Money is not good or bad. It's neutral. It simply reflects how you choose to use it. And if you're not in control of your money is controlling you. There's a big difference between having money and being the boss of your money. A lot of people earn a decent income, but still feel trapped. They're living paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't make enough, but because they've never learned to lead their finances. They spend emotionally. They buy to feel better. They avoid looking at their accounts because it makes them anxious. That's not freedom. That's slavery with a shiny filter. To take control of your money, you first have to take control of your mindset. Stop thinking of money as something that happens to you, and start treating it as something you manage with intention. It's not about being rich. It's about being responsible. It's about knowing where every dollar is going and making sure it's going where you want your life to go. Because if you don't give your money a purpose, it will find one on its own, and usually in someone else's pocket. It starts with awareness, not just what you spend, but why you spend. Are you buying because you need it or because you're bored? Are you upgrading your lifestyle every time you get a raise? Or are you investing in something that grows? Are you filling emotional gaps with purchases? Or are you building something sustainable? These are the questions people don't want to ask. Because the answers require change. But change is the price of freedom. Being the boss of your money means thinking long term. It means living beneath your means, not above them. It means choosing financial peace over temporary pleasure. It's not about denying yourself, it's about designing a life that's built to last. When you're the boss, you don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to explain your choices. You don't need to say yes to every dinner, every sale, every trend. You understand that money is a tool, and tools are meant to build. You also learn the power of saying no. No to unnecessary debt. No to comparison. No to short-term thinking. Because every yes has a price. Every dollar you spend today is a dollar you're not investing in your future. Being the boss of your money means knowing when to hold back so you can move forward with strength. And let's be clear, this isn't about hoarding money. It's about mastering it. It's about creating options. It's about putting yourself in a position where you're not stuck in a job you hate because of bills, or staying in a relationship out of financial fear. Money won't solve all your problems, but it will give you choices. And choices are what real freedom looks like. You don't need a six-figure salary to take control. You need discipline. You need clarity. You need to believe that your future is worth more than fleeting comfort. When you manage your money with purpose, you stop living on the edge of anxiety. You gain confidence. You build security. You step into ownership, not just of your finances, but of your entire life. So make the shift. Stop being a slave to your spending and start being the boss of your money. Budget with vision, save with intention, invest with wisdom. And watch how different life feels when money is working for you, not against you. Because the goal isn't just more money. It's more freedom, more peace, and more control over the life you're building. We live in a world that glorifies the lifestyle, the cars, the clothes, the vacations, the constant stream of content, showing us how perfect someone else's life looks. And without even realizing it, we start measuring our worth by things that fade. We chase the image, not the impact. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, what are you really building? A lifestyle that looks good in pictures, or a legacy that outlives you? A lifestyle is about now. A legacy is about next. A lifestyle is what you consume. A legacy is what you contribute. One is rooted in appearance. The other is rooted in purpose. You get to choose which one you're building every day, not with your words, but with your decision. It's easy to get caught up in the surface. It's easy to spend your energy making sure you fit in, look the part, and feel like you're keeping up. But here's the truth. No one is going to remember you for the outfit you wore, the car you drove, or how many likes your post got. They're going to remember how you made them feel, what you stood for, the example you set, the moments you showed up when it mattered most. That's legacy. Legacy isn't about being famous or making history books. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing to live in a way that creates value, not just comfort. It means asking yourself what kind of ripple you're leaving behind the lives of others. Are people better, stronger, more inspired because they cross paths with you? Or are you just blending into the noise trying to impress people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared? The lifestyle trap is seductive because it gives quick gratification. You buy something new and you feel powerful for a moment. You post something impressive and you get a wave of approval. But those moments are short-lived and they come at a cost. Your time, your peace, your focus. You start living for applause instead of alignment. You chase attention instead of intention. Building a legacy requires patience. It's not always flashy. It's not always visible. It's found in the quiet decisions, the way you treat people when no one's watching, the discipline you carry behind closed doors, the time you invest in things that don't pay off today but will shape someone's life tomorrow. Legacy is slow work, but it's sacred work. Thank you.